Tailoring a camping adventure isn't just about gear. It's about camping logistics and your personal philosophy on what you believe camping is. Good day to you. I'm Catholic Camper, and welcome to this podcast. There are 3 points about this subject that I would like to share with you today. They are packing with a purpose, biome specific, and then finally, owning your camping adventure. Let's begin. Now, my earlier experiences with camping was kind of interesting and frustrating at the same time. Basically, I purchased to go camp. Now, let me explain. If I was buying say for example, a sleeping bag, I would go buy a sleeping bag and then my agenda would be to go camp with that sleeping bag. Well, later on, I would find out that I would be camping with a sleeping bag that had no purpose other than to kind of just get into and I'm camping, yay. But actually, there's a lot of times that I bought a sleeping bag and it was so cold that I was miserable. Now, after a while, these things kind of started becoming, frustrating. Like, for example, water systems. I packed a water jug, but later on, after a weekend camping, I ran out of water and I had to go buy water. The packing with a purpose is very important, okay? So now I use a camping manifest. Now, bear with me, this may be a little bit too much for some people, but a manifest helps me plan accordingly, okay? For example, it answers a lot of questions on what do I want to do, right? Versus I'm going to go purchase camping equipment and then go try it out, which is backwards, okay? Let's look at this. There's a destination column, right? And then date, time, where I'm actually going to be, how many miles is it going to take, right? And then must-sees and must-dos. In the experience, it was kind of like the opposite. Here, there's a purpose, right? And I'll get into that a little bit later. Vehicle pre-prep, for example, those things that I need to do for my vehicle in order to travel well. Meal planning is very important, and what I'm going to pack for those meals, right? Or refrigeration system or cooler systems. And then my favorite, my camping list. Let me get this over here. This camping list is very, very important. Here's my checklist of everything that I must pack for a purpose of what I'm doing. So packing for a purpose is important. Now, within that, safety. Safety is always important, safety first, right? So basically, the safety perspective checklist, like for example, when I go out, I'm also paying attention to communication, protocols, a contingency plan. What happens if I get out there or if I'm traveling and something happens? For example, one time we had an incident. We went camping and then we had a bear can spray release inside the tent where we were, and that was not only dangerous, but that was very, very difficult and very hard for the next 7 hours of our trip. So there was a contingency plan where I knew where the hospital was, and that's a whole other video that you can catch on my website. But in there, we knew what we could do, and then resource that where if we needed to, which we didn't go to, but if we needed to go to the hospital, we knew where that was. So contingency planning. Safety also includes who's going to be around you or what's going to be around you. And again, I get into some details with solo camping, that module that's on my website. But basically, in summary, when packing, you want to know if you're going to have telecommunications, if you're going to have a cell service, if you're going to have access to just resources like a convenience store, things like that. So when planning, tailoring your camping trip, you must ask, what do you want to do? Is the first question. Not, I'm going to go buy stuff and then go camping. Okay? Now, from the chilly Rockies to the dry and hot West, where do you want to go? Let's talk about it. Ready? Biome specific. Know your region's biome. This is a must. Now, what I mean about biomes, in Texas, we have several biomes. We have the beach, coastal, right? Then we have desert in the west. We have the piney woods, beautiful piney woods to the east. And then up north, we have canyons. So in Texas, you can practice several biomes. And in tailoring a camping trip, you need to know your biome because it's going to affect your experience. When we were traveling to Canada, one of the biomes that we knew was going to be tundra or mountain ranges with a lot of snow and cold. What we did not expect was that when we got into Portland or west of Portland into Astoria, how wet it was going to be. We totally underestimated that, not knowing that biome on the west coast, well, actually the Pacific Northwest, there it was wet every single day. And in camping, for me and my wife, that's very difficult. So know your biome, pay attention to weather reports, determine where you want to go. Tailoring a camping trip sometimes is driven by your biome. For example, when we went to Canada, we needed to pack for a purpose, knowing that we were going to get into the mountains and with snow. Knowing your biomes will keep things a little bit narrow to comfort, and then of course safety, and then packing with a purpose. And then number 3, this is probably one of the most important, I believe in my heart. What do you believe that camping adventures look like? Now, camping is defined very differently throughout the nation, to the United States and maybe the world. But what do you believe camping adventures look like for you? Very important questions, okay? So topic number 3 is the philosophy of a camping adventure. Let's start. Balancing capability. Know your capabilities, know your comfort areas, know what exactly you can do and what you can't do. For example, roughing it is a choice, not a requirement when camping adventuring. My philosophy of camping adventure includes a good night rest. If this is important to you, you would spend some time answering that question. Let me tell you a story. From sleeping on the ground to now sleeping in a rooftop, that transition took about 5 years. Sleeping on the ground was cool. We were young, we could do it. We can get up in the middle of the night, we can go to the bathroom, we can come back, we can get back in our cozy little sleeping bag. Very cool, right? But over the time, as we got older, we tended not to really want to be on the ground anymore. So then we elevated to a cot. Well, that was challenging too. More equipment, right? Well, we got rid of that equipment and we went ahead and went full-fledged mattress on a rooftop tent on my truck. And you can see that in my videos. But my point on this is selecting a sleeping system was very important when we're talking about balancing your capability, right? I don't function well if I don't get enough sleep, and we kind of figured that out along the way. So a sleeping system was part of the philosophy. Hey, if we're going to go, camping, adventuring, or vehicle dependent adventuring, part of tailoring my adventure is going to be a good quality sleep system, rooftop tent for us. Now, on the other spectrum, my wife loves to cook, and good meals is very important for her. From the bags of dry food to now really good fresh food that she makes when we go camping, that transition was really important for her to decide. In her philosophy, we must eat well in order to do the things that we want to do. And a kitchen setup actually mirrors those daily needs that she feels that we need when we adventure camp. When defining what an adventure looks like for you, always stay curious. Stay curious and ask questions. Ask questions to yourself, reach out and ask questions to people who you trust, or reach out and ask me. But one of the things I want to make sure that it's clear when we're talking about your philosophy of camping adventure, which was a mistake of mine, is that your philosophy doesn't need to be someone else's. As we see sometimes of, oh, look at that video, or oh, look at that store, that they have all this stuff. Determine for yourself how you define a camping adventure, so you're able to tailor it to what your needs and what your specifics are. Long ago, I mirrored a lot of people doing a lot of great things, but I was finding that I wasn't capable of doing some of those things, like, for example, vehicle-dependent exploration. One time, my vehicle could not do it. I got very frustrated, and I ended up breaking my vehicle. No bueno. So in summary, pack with a purpose, know your biome, and then own your camping adventure. The best tailored adventures are going to leave you ready to plan the next one the moment you hit the pavement. Now, I'm interested in you. How would you tailor your camping adventure? Let's chat. Well, thank you for being with me on this podcast and checking in. And like always, you can catch more on e-learning modules on my website, www.catholic-camper.com. I'd love to hear from you. Let's tailor your camping adventure. Peace.